I'm your host and co host for today. With co host, you just heard Tommy Anthony Sinisi, but for years as an author and a co host of mine for 7 years, God's number, he's been known as Tommy Hotchblood. But Facebook, friend him, Tommy Hotchblood Sinisi. Now, this is Bret Lueder, author, Ascension Magical Lens of Myth or History of Ufology, P.R. And that stands for Public Relations. So I asked him here today to kick off my brand new reality of bringing California, Hawaii, and Florida together to make this work for me as ACO, Ascension Center Organization, and the articles and bylaws that we're going to put in our church starting today. So Bret's our first. He says he doesn't mind being in our association, so he's our first guest speaker pastor, speaker minister. I don't know. He's we use Modesto. I'm a bona fide holder as a pastor with a man that authorized me in a real what they call a brick and mortar church. So I guess I'm already a member of the Modesto because I've got paper on my website saying I am. So now back to you, Bret, because you're sort of the leader of the pack uh, of wolves. Are we angels or are we just people? Are we sheeple people? So back to you. Help us, guide us down this. Yeah, who are we?
Who
What
are
are we
we?
doing?
So anyway, back to my story, and I respect Tommy's experience, but you kind of need to hear the whole rest of the thing, what's going on here. So,
Please
because
lead us.
yeah, I've gone to now for over 8 years. I've gone to, or 4 years. I've gone to 8 different deliverance seminars. They're week-long seminars. The stuff that I've seen in there would appear to contradict Tommy's experience. You see them cast out demons all the time, right? And there's also a guy in Florida, in your neck of the woods, TJ, named Joe Jordan. Have you heard of Joe Jordan?
I think so, but I haven't gone to any of his stuff.
I forget what his website's called. Something about the experiencers, or it might be, I forget what it was. But what he did was he started chronicling testimony of abductees that were stopping abductions using the name of Christ. So I think he's up to over 300 people now. And so I can't explain why stuff works for some people and not for others. But this church down in Yuba City, when my good friend Ernie Stedman said that there was a church in Yuba City and they stopped this magical wizard using the name of Christ, that wizard turned out to be Anton LaVey, the founder of the Church of Satan. So when I learned that, I was like, wow, why this church? Why didn't any other church weren't they able to stop him? And so it became a battle over his daughter. The daughter wanted out, and Anton didn't want to let her out. Well, she made her way to this church, and these church people made a stand. And the story is incredible. It's going to make a huge blockbuster movie at some point. But these church people how they described themselves before this incident was that they said they were limp-wristed Christians. Like every other Christian, they said they think they're already protected because they have Christ in their life. Well, these Christians in the Church of Yuba City said that's not true, because then why are they getting attacked? Well, they got attacked from around the world. They got animal parts and organs and stuff sent to them in the mail, other fetishes and charms. People moved into the area to try to take the church out, and all these people just kept being defeated, right? And the church people didn't actually do anything except pray. So I don't know exactly what Tommy's experiences are, and I respect them. I don't doubt that he's telling the full truth about his experiences. But just going off what I've seen at this church, I've seen them resist. There's stories that they tell where the demon will resist them for months at a time, months and months. And it takes constant beating down using their 12 tools to get them to not just leave, but what they do is they get them to admit who they are first. And when they admit who they are, then they give them the choice. You can go somewhere else, or we can send you to hell. And so some choose to go somewhere else, and they don't recommend doing that because then they're still out there. They can, if someone has a doorway open, they can still come in. So while I'm staying open to the possibility that there's more than one way to stop a UFO abduction, as far as I can tell, and with my research, Joe Jordan's the only one that has a study that claims that there's a certain way to stop an abduction, and that's with using the name of Jesus Christ. So I don't want to get into a big argument. You can talk with Joe Jordan about it. His results of his study are what they are. So as a researcher, I'm just staying open to what the results of any studies are. If there's a study that says that sage keeps away demons, I'll pay attention to it. If there's a study that says demons don't pay attention to the name of Christ, I'll pay attention to it. Right? I just want to know what the truth is. So
We're
until
called
a new
truth
study
seekers.
comes along, this Joe Jordan, he's got the only study out there. So I'm
Well,
going
it's
with
not the
that.
one. It's not that convicted criminal in Florida, is it, Joe Jordan?
I sure hope not. I don't know that that's the same Joe Jordan, but I doubt
Okay,
it.
so
But okay.
there's different people with. Well, you know, when we use a name, regardless of what it is, can you talk a little about the myth or history of symbols, symbology, and names? Because being a journalist, you know, we pay attention to words,
Sure.
and communications is my main thing in broadcasting. But the words, it's not just the meme or what we follow. And you may want to get into the Mandela effect as well. But folks, each individual is subjective to their own filters and their lens. And I've named this Ascension Magical Lens because one of the younger boys, I'm an old lady, I'm an elder in the church and in the Ascension Church, but I was guided by God to make this Ascension Center and to do what I'm doing today. Today is June 9th, 2019, and I've got co host Thomas Anthony Sinisi of New Jersey, and he now goes by Tommy Hawksblood Sinisi of Hawaii, and he's doing a good job staying on top of people like Dr. Michael Sala, Joan Ocean. He even follows Corey Good. We're not endorsing anybody by me saying these names, and I don't mean pro or con. Just as a researcher, he stays very open minded, but Tommy is opinionated like all of us. We all have our own individual thoughts and we have past lives. So Tommy and I agreed, if this is okay with you, Bret, because no individual can own another human's spiritual path. But between the three
That's
of
right.
us, the power of three, we can each own our own spiritual journey and be responsible for our own soul. But at least Tommy and I agreed on karma and uh, reincarnation, Bret, and God and Jesus. So you may want to read the Ascension Center organ. I would say Ascension Center. No, ACO Association. I've had so many of these group names for years, Bret. That's after God's given me 7 years with Janet Carroll Lesson of Hawaii and my Ascension Center network. I have Ascension Center, Bret. But maybe you can help me with that because that's going to be the main theme, Ascension Center. And Tommy has helped me with Ace Folk Life. And folks, you can go to Tommy's page called on tjmarsetradio.com and read on Tommy's page about how we began in 2012. The same page is on Janet Carroll Lessons at tjmarsetradio.com. And she started. So that's what we started. And Janet says, well, you mainly wrote that. I'm going to change it because I'm different and I've grown. She's very left wing liberal, and Tommy isn't real right wing Republican, but I found it funny that God put me with two people that are so friendly and wanted to start a if it hadn't been for Tommy and Janet, you wouldn't be talking to me today because I was not wanting to do radio shows. I didn't want to be public with what I knew about UFOs. I was a contactee from the time I was born, and I had a UFO family, and I called them angels, and I died. So I'm an out of body experiencer, near death experiencer, but I was raised as a Christian. I was raised in the Southern Baptist Convention, and then May 6, 1972, I converted to Latter day Saint. And for all you historians, that's who used to be called Mormons. Now they're just called Latter day Saints. But I found it odd that everywhere when I traveled after 72 forward into the government and I wore a uniform, that wherever I would be moved to, like Great Lakes, Birmingham, Alabama, to go to University of Alabama, the and then to Chicago in Great Lakes area. I went to Waukegan, and then it was funny that both the churches were right next to a Jewish temple or synagogue, and I don't even know what that's called, but we believe in the Old Testament and the New Testament, and then with the Latter-day Saints, we believed in the Book of Mormon and the Pearl of Great Price and the words of wisdom, so to speak. And then after I studied all that, I started studying all world religions, history, becoming a researcher, and found the Emerald Tablet. So Tommy and I agreed on other books that he and I both had past lives. So we're sort of blending that together with Bret Lueder. So Bret, whatever you can create with this Ascension Magical Lens, we have 55 minutes left, but I know you've got to leave a little early to go to Janet's show. So would you continue with this Ascension Magical Lens and help me with my ACO club, please? In the Ascension Church, Ohana,
Okay.
whatever that's going to be.
I don't exactly know what you want me to do, but it sounds like it's a positive thing. So if I can help in any way, I'll do my best.
Thank you. Well, that's what I called today. You probably haven't seen your show. It's called Bret Lueder Author Dash Ascension Magical Lens, LENS, of Myth, Art History of Ufology, PR. But that's helping me and Tommy create the first Ascension Church Ohana in honor of my daughter, Ohana, and extended family. And then everybody's going to have their opinion, but we've got to figure out a way to come together as the church. And I'm using the church meaning the people, Bret, and the power of three, because I believe in the metaphysical church. I think God has no religion, and Jesus was a metaphysician. So, and that UFOs exist and alien civilizations exist. So the church are the people. Right now it's me, you, and Tommy. So whatever you can make of that, I'd appreciate it.
It's all about who we are. So there's many paths to find that information, in my view.
Okay.
In terms of spirituality, every person is responsible for their own spirituality, and I like to think that I respect that. And on my own personal path, I was led down to this church. So while I can agree that man makes religion, and as soon as God's words come through the human filter and get onto paper, they change, or there's some kind of a change. That's not a perfect translation. So as I go through my experiences and I try to help these people in my life, what I'm doing is not necessarily paying attention to the man's wars and religious wars, that kind of thing, or the pedophilia of the Vatican and all that kind of corruption. I'm using and looking at the power of the name. And right now, although I've learned many magical, powerful names over the years with my own experiences through occult traditions and studies and practice, Jesus seems to be the name that, just from my experience, seems to really drive the demons crazy. Now, maybe up to a certain point they can resist, and that's what the church people I study with tell me, is that most of the demons that people deal with are what they call the garden variety of demons. A couple of Hail Marys, a couple of crosses waved, and some of them will start coming out. But they're usually run by a leader demon, which is usually, when you get to the top of the hierarchy, it's the demon that runs that specific region.
I like Lucifer. I watch the television show Lucifer. Me and Tommy like that show. That doesn't mean we like demons. We like the entertainment. But we'll have to get into the difference between Ohana at Walt Disney World and Lilo and Stitch. Do you know who that is?
I've heard of Milo and Stitch, but fill me in. Isn't that a cartoon?
Yeah. But I asked my other daughter today, the one that works at the venue where we're having June 22nd, Navarre Conference Center, the New Horizons Psychic Fair. You noticed I mentioned that again, Psychic Fair? Because I'm a psychic and I do readings with tarot cards. And Tommy has promoted me and one other girl, Barbara. He used to work a lot with psychics too. But, a lot of people think we're evil, that we're demons because we do tarot cards. So I'd like to have your, it's the Kabbalah, and we use like the Tree of Life and all kind of symbols, right? So that's why your Ascension Magical Lens of myth or history of ufology and PR is important, because I'm sort of combining all this together. I'm not saying anything's bad, but you mentioned a leader, so I needed to sort of throw that out, because people think